Right, here we go, and welcome to episode 34 of the Pinche podcast. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and today we have a very special guest. We have David. He is a black belt Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, master of those darn leg locks. And he's an Army officer.
I
bet you
did
very
service.
right?
Did not
Just learned about that.
Thank you.
Earlier today.
Yeah, just like
breaking news.
Just like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
He's a sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Congrats.
he does work, though. He's not like one of those that,
So he's a warrant officer?
oh, yeah.
Well,
no,
if that's
no.
the case, I wouldn't be at work at all. I'll be just expecting, like, you need me? I'm good. No, I'm out. But that's not the case for me.
Speak the truth. Speak the truth. Well, congrats.
Congrats.
Thanks.
And congrats on the black belt promotion, which
Gaia.
we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But welcome, David. We're so honored and grateful to have you here. And good job putting it together.
Yeah, and let me tell our listeners and everything, and also the podcast members here, that when we do have a black belt, we have to have this level of respect. We can't be doing the normal crap we're doing, because this isn't like a regular podcast.
Aye, sir. Aye, sir. David, welcome.
It's like a PhD.
Okay.
Davis.
You just got your
Davis.
brown
Did
belt.
I say David? I
Yep.
said David. Davis.
I
said
Yeah.
Davis.
That's all right.
Damn.
Let's
Horrible.
crack one.
Let's start the whole podcast over again. No, I'm just kidding.
Keep rolling.
Hey,
Take two.
take two.
Take two.
Davis, welcome again. Appreciate you. Tell us something good.
Something good?
Yeah.
Just something good. Whatever comes to mind. What are you grateful
Happened
for?
today, this week, this month. What? Something good.
Okay, so two things, right? Last week, couldn't train at all, right? Because of, early on in the week, I got my vasectomy. All right.
All right.
Huge step. Okay.
Yeah.
Good news. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's all right. All right.
Oh, I got yes.
I'm
yes.
right,
definitely.
okay.
I'm
with
going to
you.
use that as
All
a.
right.
Yeah. Never mind.
All right, and then Friday, right? Because I realized the mindset was like, okay, if I'm losing a piece of me as a man, I need to restore myself as a man. So I got myself my first tattoo. All right, so I popped that cherry. Okay.
Oh wow.
So I'm grateful, and then now I'm grateful that my body miraculously healed at a faster rate, so I'm able to like train.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I hear a lot of horror stories like, Joe, you told me
Yes.
earlier,
Oh,
like,
yes.
hey, ice, like I didn't need any of that.
Oh, you must have had a good doctor then, because when I had mine done, I felt like
Clubbed to death.
I felt like my
Loved
soul
to
was
death.
taken from my body.
I think
So-
that's more emotional, though.
I may get.
Right?
I probably will get in trouble for saying this. So I love you, dear. But that will be another reason I'll be like, I don't want to. Is like, I'm going to miss training. You know what I mean? I just don't want to miss on the opportunity of quality training.
Yeah.
Or are you just scared?
No.
Yeah. I see.
No.
I saw
just
that in
I
there.
like my
Your
peoples.
bits?
I like my bits. But no, cool.
Yeah.
Congrats though, man, all the way
Congrats.
around.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That is a big deal, and good stuff on the recovery too.
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
That's,
How long were you out? 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
No.
Okay, so the doctor said, hey, basically I asked him, when can I go back to light exercise? Right? I didn't say like jiu-jitsu, okay?
Yeah,
I said,
yeah,
"You'll freak
yeah,
the fuck
yeah.
out. But he said, all right, define light work. I'm like, walking? He's like, oh, yeah, you can do it like by next week, right? Which is
Okay.
like Tuesday, like yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. But then, me being a mat feed, I'm just like, I need to train. So how can I do this, right?
I'm feeling it right
Past
now.
couple, the first couple of days, I'm like, okay, I'm watching instructionals, right? And then Sunday, I was like, I can't do this anymore, And so, I told my wife, like, love you, honey. I was like, hey, I'm gonna go drill.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
just
I
drill.
went, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to freaking roll.
yeah.
But now, granted, I didn't like buy a cup or anything. I was just like, oh, let me test myself. And first thing, I roll with like this brown belt, this big dude, right? And he entangled my legs, and his foot like went straight up the middle. And I'm like, okay, I cannot pry his legs out. I gotta like freaking use my hand to down block down there and like protect myself. So I was conceding a lot of positions. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, I definitely need to buy a cup. Which, that helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
I hate wearing
yeah.
it, but
Yeah, to keep going.
yeah.
Yeah, I would have tapped. Like, yeah. Because, right, I mean, yeah, that's because I know how sensitive it is. See, he doesn't know. It feels like you got punched or kicked
Kicked in the nuts.
really, really hard.
That is
That's
much information
Yeah.
as I need.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
It is a good analogy.
So
Yes.
not hold on. But that's like the day after. The day of, it's all numb, so you don't feel anything.
2 reasons in less than 5 minutes.
So,
man,
hold
I got
on.
getting more ammo.
Hold on. It's just sore a little bit. Like if you try to do a jumping jack, it feels like damn. Like what happened?
The pain side of it
That's
has
it.
nothing to do with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
I'm not afraid of the pain.
I mean, in the middle of the surgery, like I felt like I got kicked in the nuts twice. You know, like
Yeah.
the first time they're like, "Hey, you're gonna feel pinch in 3, 2, 1," and then it stabbed me. I'm like,
And it's never
okay.
a pinch.
"It's not a pinch, it's a stab." Like you're getting
Stab.
stabbed, and then it's like, okay, you know, he's like seesawing, hacking away, and I'm just like, "Oh, pressure, right?" Freaking like naming the song like Queen's song, right? Pressure, right? And then he's like, okay, stab me again, you know? And then I'm like, good. So then afterwards, you know, then he picks out the cautery machine, and he's like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, pressure, right? He's like, oh, here we go again, boom. And I'm like, okay, I thought we're done, right? And then
I'm sold.
And then the
Sign me
doctor,
up.
and then okay, first off, it's a resident that's doing the surgery. The doctor's overseeing it, right?
No.
So the doctor's like, all right, guy, we're going to do the other one now. I'm like, what?
That was just one.
There's just one? So then
all here is,
all over again.
my bad.
Here's your pinch.
and then the only thing besides like the anesthesia, like to provide me, they're like, hey, we're going to provide you some music so you don't hear the clicking and clacking and clamping. And I'm like, oh, okay, give me the Grey's Anatomy, like, you know.
What was the music? I mean, what is the appropriate music for that?
Well, they were playing like Christmas.
Under pressure.
It's like Taylor Swift.
Well, Taylor Swift did come on.
I hope Rebecca hears this. That way I can just look at her and go, you want me to go through that?
There is no music that goes with that, though. It's just
Hey, yeah, there isn't. It's the taps.
So the thing is, like, so I did miss out an opportunity to take Valium, which I never had. They're like, hey, you can take Valium to kind of ease it. I'm like, I'm not gonna be a fucking bitch, so I'm not doing this shit.
if there's anything that can where you can show your bitch card is when someone is pinching you a couple times and then they get out the welding helmet and the torch and they cauterize you down there.
Cauterize.
Yeah, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
just-
no, good with that.
yeah.
Good with that. But the hacking and the sawing,
It's
I'm
like
exaggerating a little bit, but
no, it's like it moved. Did your body move?
no.
My body moved when they were working on me. It actually moved me
Oh,
because
damn.
they were tugging on my. Yeah, it was like I told him it was like they were trying to lace army boots. The guy when he was like tying everything up, and I was so sweaty. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, you gotta stop moving.
man, this is
And
the
I'm like-
best
Intro.
best episode ever.
And these are two words. I
like,
told
so much-
Davis this.
I'd
You
be
don't-
like, you want me to go through this, Jared? Seriously?
These are the
Yeah.
these are the words you don't want to hear when you're in that procedure. Oh, you're one of those. I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, some people need extra, anesthesia. And he's like, are you feeling what I'm doing? I'm like, look at me. I was soaked through my shirt.
Hey,
So it was.
you know why? It's because you got brass balls.
No, I walked out and I remember my wife saw my face
You
and
got
she looked
copper
at me.
fittings.
And I love you, babe, if you hear this. But she remembered, she looked at me and she just said, I'm sorry.
Yes. All right.
Well, gents, and to our audience, this is
Brought
it's
to
not
you
as-
by
It's not as bad as you think. It's
Snips.
actually a good thing. A good thing.
Good things. Good
It's
things.
good things. Okay, because then you don't have to worry about bringing another child into this wonderful world.
I'm not
There's a
worried
small
about it.
percentage
Right.
if you're like a superhuman being,
I'll take.
right? Because like so I had to do this briefing before this is like appointment and everything, right? And they're like, hey, there's a small percentage of your the tubes like merging together and like Wolverining itself and kind of heal up, you know?
You might be the first person ever to use
Wolverine yourself.
reference to
Hey, what is that? The little choo-choo train that could? Toot-toot.
Oh, Major Pain?
Yeah. It's like, I'll get there. Toot,
Oh my God.
toot.
But do you So do they do it for free if it doesn't work? Because it's like a warranty. I'm just trying to think because then you have to do it again, and I wouldn't want to pay again.
Hey,
They're going to take your money somewhere.
This isn't
good
the
at
dog shelter, man. I can go get fixed. Hey, for reals, man, that was the best decision. One of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It's great. It's so much freedom. Oh no!
Is that a bumper sticker on a car vasectomy equals freedom?
It could be.
Well,
It could be,
it
right?
could be.
There's another shirt. We have so many ideas for shirts. We got to get these out.
Just have vasectomy and on the back say freedom.
So I had an epiphany before my vasectomy, right? I'm thinking about it, right? And I'm
I
like,
hope you did.
like,
Yeah.
so are y'all like Star Wars nerds, geeks, right?
Yep.
Understand? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was like, when people hear the word vasectomy, they're like, oh, but why don't you just call it Order 66?
What's Order 66? Can you explain that?
So, okay, so basically,
Taking out the Jedi.
the Jedi's, right? The younglings.
Oh,
Not medically correct, but I'm like, why just call it Order 66?
or turning off the lightsaber.
oh, yeah. Order 66. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Now that's the music you can play.
What, the battle scene?
No,
The battle scene
there
is-
is music to that when he's about to like.
No, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
during the battle scene of Order 66, you just play that in the background, so it just instils sheer panic. Oh no! And you hear Yoda go down, or Mace Windu. Yeah.
You can have Zsa Zsa Binks
Oh my God.
accents while the doctor's working on you. I think I got to cut it right here.
I may
or
actually
something.
wake up and tell them just shoot that one. Shoot him. All right, now you get back to business.
It's a lightsaber just to like to seal that wound.
Cauterizing.
That would be the only way to do
Hey,
it.
this is either going to
Lightsaber.
motivate others to do it or it's going to scare
I hope
the
it
hell
scares the
out of
shit
I
out of
hope it scares.
All respect. All respect.
Hey, it's not what it is or what you think.
It
it's
is what
it's a
it
good
is.
thing. Hey, tell us something good.
Well, the good thing is I got mine years ago, and I don't have to do it again. The good thing is it's the holiday season, and I hope everybody out there, including our guest and the podcasters here, you had a great time with the friends and family. That's what it's all about. I love this time of year because it's a year of reflection. It's a year to spend time with loved ones, and it's a time to look forward to what you want to do. So that's my good news. I love this time of year.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. What about you, Christopher? What you got?
I'm going to echo what Joe said. Christmas, New Year's, whatever it is. This is my favorite time of the year. Part of it's reflection. Mine tends to come like right now. Not like right now, but like today it really, on a professional level, hit me. Just like, I hate this
too.
part of the year. Like on a job-wise, just because everybody in some manner is disconnected, and so trying to be productive is like almost useless.
Yeah.
All right. But on the good note, Mikkel's still here. Kiddos,
Mikkel.
Stephanie and nieces and nephews are still here. Had a great
Peachos.
time. Peachos, hey, look,
Peachos.
we got some peachy rings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
interesting.
think
15,
Davis-
right?
15. Oh, we'll tell you about
Yeah,
that
you-
in a bit.
You
It's
have
a
to
little.
eat 15 of them.
15.
Yeah.
Wow.
You could start now.
Why 15? Why that specific number?
I don't know.
We'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
It's inappropriate.
less than a week away from going to the mountains to go chase some deer, wildlife around,
Nice.
harvest.
Oh,
Yeah.
what do you mean harvest? Like,
Harvest, like hunt for fill food and freezer. I don't care to hunt for. I mean, it's cool if you get like a good like game or trophy. You know that it's still majestic, but for me, it's cool. Give me the budget one with no antlers that still fills my freezer. Like if I'm gonna spend time hunting, I'm gonna not the skittish super smart one who's got like a rack out to here. It's like, hey,
The dumb one.
the dumb doe over there.
Yum, yum, nom, nom, nom.
Yes. Can I eat that one? Yeah. All right. I'll just
hey, does it taste gamey or is it?
No, not for me. I mean, just like anything else, each meat has its own like taste or profile.
Right.
but
That's what she said.
I think
Just laying out there.
laying it out there.
Pineapple.
I like it. Peach rings, 15.
Peachos.
Peachos.
Is that pineapple flavor?
I'm doing a taste test.
Oh my God.
Interesting. I'll have to try it.
Yeah, interesting that you like that.
No, but so far, family, man, Christmas. I love cook. Another thing is I love to cook, so get a good opportunity. I made another round of video. Oh my God. This one was
Yeah,
this
let's
one
go.
was the winner. And then for Elena's birthday, since it's so close to Christmas, I did a Heath bar cookie cake, but it had the density of like a cheesecake brownie. Oh my God, it was stupid good. It's
Nice.
yeah, it's like a cheesecake brownie, but with cookie ingredients and a fuck ton of Heath bar. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. it's good.
Dang.
Anyway, how about yourself?
Me?
Yeah, tell us something good.
Shit, I had something good. I just lost it. Damn.
You got us. You got us.
Damn. Of course. Yeah, you. But I had a comment on, I guess it was a deer or, is it deer? Elk? What is it?
Deer.
Oh,
So it's a
birria. Oh, birria is supposed to be made with
Yes.
either deer meat or goat meat.
goat,
know that.
lamb, sheep. Yeah. It's a so in the United States we have a natural variant of the white-tailed deer called the Coues deer. It's about I think it's bigger than a Texas hill country deer because the deer here are kind of small, but like a big like Iowa whitetail, Ohio Midwestern whitetail, they're smaller than that. But they call them the gray ghost because they were literally like show up on one part of your binoculars, go like look like they walk up behind a bush the size of a Coke can. You're like, where the hell did he go? Right? And you're like, there's no way he's bedding down. And then about an hour later, your other friend goes, hey, isn't that one we just saw over there? Yeah, where's he at? He's way over here.
Hey, how do you like remember what it looks like?
Because
to me,
they'll
all
have
look
like
the same.
coloring, like banding. You can tell rack too. Like you can see their horn shape. You can go, hey, that's that 10 point. Because there's not going to be like at where we're at. There's not like 10 points. So there's going to be a 10 point, maybe an 8 point, maybe something else, a smaller doe. Does are harder because they don't have anything to identify. You're using the horn set as it is, but we're like, hey, there's an 8. And then when you start calling it out, like, hey, it looks like this. And then about an hour later. So cool part is when you walk around these valleys, though, you see the fingers of.
Are they valley? Is it the Valley of Death?
Yeah. Actually, there is Death Valley out there. I'll have to look it up on the map. I'll show you where it's at, right where we're at. But, yeah, as you walk around this valley, there's these little creek beds, dried up creek beds and trenches. So they just, it's like these little superhighways. They duck behind that bush, go down like this 10-foot, 12-foot ravine so you don't see them. And then they show up somewhere else. Like, haha, we're over here. Yeah, but that'll be fun. Get to go do
Nice.
that.
Hey, so for me, the holidays are a little tough because I'm Mexican and Mexicans, all they do is work. So I have to work through the holidays.
Me too.
And then it's tough because, again, productivity, not everybody works at the same level. So it's
So with that, right, with the holidays, are you working harder or just hard?
working
Hard.
just as hard.
Hard right now.
Yeah, go ahead, bring it.
What you got?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right.
is where we do the
all right.
ads.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, it's tough because I can relate with that. The whole productivity. Everybody's like at level 3, and I'm at freaking level 9, 10, 11, getting ready for the new year, prepping, and it's good because as you hit the new year, you hit the ground running. You don't have to like. Okay, all right, let's go. Oh, now what am I gonna do with the year? Oh, fuck no, I'm already like set. You know what I want to do. For instance, I do these educational videos on VA home loans, on police officer programs, first responders, and all this. But I have them already scheduled. Like I only got 6 months scheduled, and their programs. So Thursday. No matter what, like I have to fucking record that and go live. But I don't record the video. I just go live. And then the following week, like it's consistent. And that takes a lot of time and planning. And right now, because it's so quiet and calm, it's perfect. It's perfect. So yeah, that's my good thing is I got my workshops for the next 6 months planned out. So I
That's
guess,
good.
yeah. See, it's all work related. But
Yeah.
aside from family and friends and everything and this being here, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Enough about telling us something good.
Mm-hmm.
Davis, tell us where you are from. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm originally from the Northeast, New York, Pennsylvania, which is like an hour south of Harrisburg, like the capital. And then, you know, when people are like, is it New York? Because I'll make it, right? Because like,
yeah,
it's
I was
regular,
gonna
but
say.
it's like, it's just York, right? And then, okay, so point of reference, like you have York Barbell, it's made out there, and then the York Peppermint Patty. And then it's like, oh, okay. They still don't know where it is.
So is it north of New York?
No, so it's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it's called
shit.
York, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened to me. It just fucking happened to me. I like went to wait, north of New York. Like I didn't even listen to the fact that it's in Pennsylvania.
So it's like it's closer to like the Pennsylvania Maryland border.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
So wait, what are you doing over here then?
Well, yeah. I mean, the army, right? You just the army.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
thank you. For your
Thank you.
service.
Hey, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know when somebody says thank you for your service, beat them to it. Say, hey, you're welcome for my service. Right? I mean, just,
Yeah, be a complete ass about it.
Or is that just a Marine?
Yeah, yeah. Be
I think
first.
it's a Marine thing.
First.
It's not always good to be first. So how
Okay.
you said armies? How long in the army?
11.
11 years.
11.
Okay. Active, reserve.
So I was going through school, through college. So basically, in my contract, I had to either join the National Guard or the reserves. So I wasn't like enlisted per se. They counted as time of service, but I was like as a cadet,
Yeah.
right? So that added on, and then from 2014 and onward now, I've been active.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, man. Thank you. What is your role or job? What do you do?
So my job, my position right now is I'm a brigade plants officer, working in the 3 shop or the S3 shop. So basically, just like working with the battalions within the brigade, work on like training, they're planning out their training as
Okay.
far out like 6 months and beyond.
Uh-huh.
Just their events, and then just office type stuff like Excel,
Okay.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Word. I'm not killing bodies. I'm just killing.
Death.
Tips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are
Kill
death
it.
by PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint. Right? On paper. I'm killing trees.
You're worse. You
Yeah.
steal souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a PowerPoint soul jar.
Yeah.
You just everybody tips
You gotta
it.
watch it too, and don't you dare fall asleep.
God
'cause
forbid.
You're
the-
fucking dead.
And then you
You're
got that one
done.
PowerPoint nerd who figures out to put the time limit on there, so you have to watch all 47 seconds
Yeah.
of it before you could hit
Yeah,
next.
Yeah.
Screw that guy or gal.
I was never that guy.
Yeah. You're like, next. That's cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So we wouldn't know what his job is like, cause yeah,
you joined up in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. So I went to school. So right off the bat, like, during high school, I wanted to go to West Point, right? The U.S.
Yep.
like Service Academy,
Yeah.
Military Academy. I did not. I had a shitty SAT score. Like, wasn't make the cut at all, right?
Yeah.
And then their entry physical fitness test, like, I didn't know there was a rule where if you fail one event, you automatically fail the whole
Oh,
thing.
wow, okay.
And one of the tests was like a basketball throw, right? But here's the catch. Here's the catch. I had to be on my knees. And I have to throw it, right? I'm like, bro, like, there's no way, right? So I didn't know, like, I did the entire test, and then the results came back, and I got a rejection letter on April Fool's Day, right? Right? And it was like, hey, you know, we appreciate
Go
you
Army.
trying to apply, but unfortunately, you didn't make the cut. right?
because you didn't make the basket, which you were on your knees.
Yeah. Oh, it's not even like into the basket. It's like how far I can throw it on my knees, right? It's like, you know.
How far did you throw it?
Not far enough, like, obviously. So
What?
It was like,
This is amazing.
yeah,
I
and
love
then
this.
and then it's like I called the admissions guy, the liaison, and he's like, okay, SAT score sucks. You didn't pass a fitness test. You don't have a varsity letter. Like, all this stuff, right? Like, I have to be like this amazing person, right?
Yep.
I didn't have any of that. So I was like, oh crap! I put all my eggs in one basket. Where else can I go, right? So there was I heard that one of the junior military colleges in Pennsylvania, Valley Forge, they had a prep program. So I went there and I did the interview with the professor of military science, this lieutenant colonel, and he was like, "Hey man, I know you're trying to go for this prep program, but I can offer you another program, right? It's ROTC, except at this school here, among like 4 other sister schools across the nation, we offer a 2-year route. So instead of doing 4 years ROTC, like from freshman to senior, the stuff that you do at as a junior, doing it as a freshman.
Okay.
And the stuff you do as a sophomore, as a senior, you do it as a sophomore year, right? So I did that. I was like, I want to be a West Pointer. And he's like, no. Listen, when you have your oath of office or, whatever, it doesn't say anywhere like, hey, I got this from West Point. I got this from like Texas A&M, right? You're just an officer, right? It's like, I still want to do this, right? And he's like, okay, we'll send you down to Fort Knox for 30 days. You pass that, then there'll be a decision point to where like you can go to the prep program or you can do the early commissioning program. That's what it's called, right? The 2-year route. So I got down there and like all the other, potential cadets that wanted to do their school's early commission program was like, dude, fucking West Pointers, man. They're just like huge ring knockers and they're like freaking like assholes, right? And I was like, I don't want to be an asshole. I'm not an asshole. Am I an asshole? And and so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm doing this 2-year route, right? So after I finished training in Fort Knox, came back and then did the training there, and then the commission after like my sophomore year, right? And then per my contract, in order to compete for active duty in that cohort, I have to be in a reserve unit or a National Guard unit. So from there, I try to find an infantry like company, or battalion to kind of do like my drill weekends and stuff in the Guard. There was no slots, right? So they're like, okay, so you have field artillery, you have a chem unit and engineer unit, right? I was like, well, I guess I'll go with field artillery, right? And so I did that for 2 years, and then I went down to Georgia, right, North Georgia, to get my bachelor's and to compete with everybody else who did the 4-year route. So I got my good grades, I did everything right, and then I got active duty infantry. So that was like what I wanted to do, right? Okay. And then from there, did the whole Army thing, right, going all over the place. Just went down to Fort Benning, called Fort Moore now because they all renamed the freaking.
Wait, it's not called Fort Benning anymore?
No,
that's some BS.
No, okay, so for those who are living under the rock, right? So like Fort Hood is no longer called Fort Hood.
Really?
It's Fort Cavazos.
Yeah.
Fort Benning is called Fort Moore, and like some other. And the reason being it was like people kind of like woke. They're like, you can't name like U.S. Army bases off of like Confederate, leaders, right? Or like generals.
It's the military.
And then it's like, okay, so.
Yep.
Military's woke now?
Oh no.
No, it's the people around him.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what? That's another freaking story because they're the ones getting offended over that name, not the military. Anyways,
but yeah, so like the going all over PCS, like permission station, all over the place, kind of expanded my jiu-jitsu a little bit, right? So yeah, I said I came from Pennsylvania to Georgia, North Georgia, down to South Georgia, to Colorado, back to Georgia, and now here. So
Yeah.
Nice.
How long was that your span? How many years?
12.
from 2015 till now. So
Okay.
I've been like.
And then
9
you
years.
have been in jiu-jitsu the same amount of time, or?
So I found jiu-jitsu a little bit after I commissioned, right? So like after I commissioned in the summer of 2012, right? And then I had a 2-month, period of just chilling out until I went out to school.
Yep.
So for the summer, prior to being interested in jiu-jitsu at all, like I went to, in my hometown, there's a jiu-jitsu school that's right next to a Greyhound bus station, right? And there are days where I pass by and I see like, man, these some weird folks, wearing pajamas and doing all this.
Wait, pajamas.
Doing all this crazy stuff, right? And I was like,
Try one of those.
and it's like, okay, I don't have the funds, at the moment, but I do want to try, right? So I did like traditional like taekwondo, a little bit of boxing, but that was about it.
Yeah.
So then during that summer, I was like, I have some money, like I have some time. Let me go in here and then try it out. So it was like July timeframe of 2012, and I go in, and inside is basically like all like a cage basically. And my first professor, he was renting that place out for his classes. He comes straight from the motherland, right? And he's like, "Oh, you want to try some jiu-jitsu?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he sat me down, talk about like the pricing, the contracts, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Okay, you got to sit on this bench here and watch us," right? I was like, "Okay." So I'm sitting there, and I'm seeing these guys, right? They do the blocking instructions, and then they go into live rolling. And so he's counting the heads, how many people are in there, right? And fortunately that day, it was an odd number. So he pointed out, he was like, you want to roll? I'm like, okay. So he paired me up with this brown belt. And he was like, and then the brown belt was like, "Oh, you know any techniques or whatever?" I was like, "Man, no, not really." He's like, "Okay, I'm going to start on bottom, right? I'm going to just lay on his back, right? Just chilling." And so, like, first thing, like, when the timer starts, boom, I freaking cross-face his ass. I was holding him, death gripping, right? Doing my own isometric workout. I'm just like, I'm holding it, 30 seconds. I'm like, after the moment I sighed, he's like, "Are you done? All right, cool, my turn." Reversed me, choked me out, like, boom, right? And then that was it. I was sold,
Yeah. Humbling.
Hey, did
Yeah.
the Army have a martial arts program at the time?
Yeah, they had combatives.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
but
MCAP or whatever.
so funny. It's like, so when I PCS to Fort Carson, still called Fort Carson now, I think, in 2016, 2015, 2016, there was a week of like just sports, right? Kind of like bring the camaraderie, esprit de corps, all that stuff, right? And they had a combatives program or tournament. And I was like, "Oh, I'm in. I'm down," right? So I'm in, and then, like, it's 3 days of straight combatives, right? So the first day is, like, all grappling, right? No striking, whatever. So I did that. I made it to the next day. And then the second day is, like, kind of pancration roll, right? Open hand strikes, punches to the chest, like, from the chin down. And then...
Sounds like marriage.
yeah. So I did that.
No, it doesn't.
And then I finally made it to the last day, and the last day was like in the cage, right? So it's like full MMA rule set. And the guy that I went against was the alternate for the U.S. Olympic wrestling team. But
So you won.
no, he hit me. Okay, so he hit me with strikes, right? And then like I failed to kind of initiate like guard game, and then the ref was like, "Nah, that was it. It's a game over." I'm like, "What?" But I mean, I made it to the finals. Like I never thought I would make it.
good.
So
You want some
Congratulations.
jiu-jitsu? Damn. Freaking ref.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu. Hey, so I got a question on this because I know you've been dying to talk about this. I just know it. So what approach should he have taken to get into West Point?
Well,
no people.
he said that he just, how can I say this? Because I want to respect my black belt. There are some people that are put on this earth to do great things. And there are some people that are put on this earth to earn great things. And so
All right.
for me, I mean, one of the things I did, I think it's just, I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm just blessed.
You're not answering the question, though. Let me call you out. So you knowing how to set up a plan of attack, because maybe his kids want to, how many kids do you have?
I have 3.
3.
Yeah.
So maybe one of your kids wants to go to West Point. How does that happen?
I'm not an expert, but actually, I almost went military as
You're
I was
hold on.
recruited by
You're
West
not
Point.
an expert. You are this is your area of expertise, sir.
They're looking for a person that's going to be athletic, a person has leadership skills, a person has that stupid SAT score, like all these things, so that when they look at the overall picture in their mind, you're going to be that outlier. That's going to be something they look at. But I don't know, West Point, Army, Navy, whatever you're in, like Marines, you're Coast Guard, Marines, Air Force,
Coloring.
Careful.
all those. I think for anything, it's just everyone has a different path. I wouldn't say. I like to say that there's a design for everyone, and his design wasn't to go to West Point. His design was to go Army and become the black belt that he is. So, but if you're looking for something like that, yeah, that's the game you got to play. But shoot, I think everyone has a plan, and he's living out his plan.
All right. You still didn't answer the question, but
I'm running for politics, man.
still,
Cannot confirm nor deny.
Yeah, he didn't confirm or deny it.
No, I have mad respect for anyone that serves. Sometimes I wish I did. My dad was Navy, and my stepdad was Marine, so I was a military brat for a while out in California. Almost went that route, but I did not have the maturity nor the guidance to go. So I would have been a mess in the military, even though in terms of all the things on the paperwork, shoot, I would have been, have you seen that, what's that movie, Platoon?
Yeah.
Isn't that the one where a guy goes, where's that Full Metal Jacket?
I don't
guy
know.
goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That would have been me.
I was actually thinking a little bit further back. I was thinking you're going to be on the Highlander series, but for as old as you are.
There can be only one.
I could be a musket loader.
Yeah.
How do we load these muskets?
Yes.
Took
Well,
it back, way back.
Highlander somehow landed in my lap. I was trying to think of that stupid Mel Gibson
Man,
movie
there
where
only
he
could be
plays this
one,
guy.
dude.
The
Braveheart.
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 Yeah.
Freedom!
Yeah, I thought I saw a glimpse of you in the background of that.
extra?
Hey, that was a different
movie.
time. I know you guys are military, but I'd be the guy like cheering, but as soon as they went and they started marching, I would like twist an ankle. I'd go
But
down.
he was the only one. The reason why I drew my eyes to him is he was the only
There's
one
another
actually
reason
like
why.
in real like costume, because back then they didn't wear the kilts and all the
No.
fancy stuff. They were actually damn naked.
Yeah.
So Joe fit in. And
Dude,
since Joe was around at that point in time, he was a technical expert on scene for Braveheart.
all I need is a stick, a stone, and a bunch of peachos covering up my...
Peachos.
Peachos.
Should we go over what the peaches are now that
Can I
Davis
have one?
actually
All right.
ate his required
We
15?
I want to do a blind taste test.
Yeah, do a blind taste test.
Oh, wait. Are they both not like...
They're not the same
They're not the same.
manufacturer.
Oh, but they're both like
Peachos.
Peachos.
Yeah.
One is generic and one is the actual peachos. I know which one I like better.
All right. So I chose one. I know which one I chose. I just want to see
So
if you
how
know
far?
which
I just
one.
want to see how far this thing stretch. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Man, this
It's
thing
pliable.
has oh yeah. Oh fuck.
It's very pliable.
Look at
So
that.
you are either about to consume
Oh
Peacho.
my god! Look at this.
I don't want to look. I'm still
Hey, I wish Mikal
Mikal.
was here. Mikal.
Yes.
I can't get his name.
Mikal.
Damn, it
Mikal. Yes,
Damn.
it does work.
So, Mikal, he shows
Brother-
up
my
last week.
brother-in-law.
Yeah, brother and that.
Is
sisters-
he Army? Navy?
Navy.
Navy. Okay,
Navy.
Navy. Sorry.
So,
Insult him.
so he shows up. He was here last week, and he goes, "Oh man, so I don't know how the conversation came up about Peachos," and I'm like, "Wait, they were talking about it for like 5 minutes," and I'm like, kind of trying to follow, and I'm like, "Wait, what's a Peachos?" Right? So apparently, one of his Navy buddies, he just shows up and he goes, "Yeah, I put 15 Peachos on my."
Member.
On my member over here.
Barrel, yeah.
So we're like, what the fuck? We were kind of confused. And I never fucking heard of this. So I'm like, but they're really small.
Yeah.
But now
Because that was everywhere. It's like, but they're like.
they're tiny. But look
Yeah.
at that. So half the freaking podcast was around what a Peacho is. And this guy really loved it. He was all over it.
Just laughing straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the guy walks out just with 15 peachos.
Yeah. He's just like,
I'm going to tell you the same joke I told last week. Who's the most popular guy in a speech? Guy that can hold 2 coffees and a dozen donuts.
All right. Now try this one. And tell me which one you like
now
better.
Peachos is one of our
Get a
little things.
little bit of bourbon in between.
Yeah, clean
the
Clean the palate. Clean the palate.
palate.
well,
Hey,
this
one
was
first
not
bef-
as malleable.
Before as you do, just get a last little hint of notes. I want to.
This might be the first time
no.
bourbon's gone with
No, bourbon and peaches.
Yeah.
Mm,
So,
man,
I'll tell you
that'd be
right
a
now-
good
Actually, I like
time.
the pairing.
This one would
Bourbon
hurt.
peach cobbler.
Oh, dude, come on.
This one
man.
would really
God,
hurt. Like,
there's-
I can't.
My wife listens to this, dude.
I hope she does.
She does.
I hope
This
she
is the one you
does.
will listen to.
Yeah.
Okay, which one do you like better?
The first one.
Man,
Okay,
I
let's
think
have
that's
Dave-
unanimous.
let's
I
have-
think it's unanimous.
Has
so
he?
far.
I know which one I like. Have you tried both?
I tried both.
Okay, which one do you like better?
Definitely the the actual name brand, the trolley one.
You like this one?
Yeah.
All right,
I can
these
taste
are
the
my
actual
favorite.
fructose.
Yeah.
I like those
I
a
like
little
those,
bit
yeah.
better. I think it has a little bit more of a peachy,
Yes.
a peachy tone to it.
Yeah.
With a little bit,
Sorry,
they're more
my
generous
heart.
with the sugar also on the outer
Did you
rim.
say it's a jitters?
Yeah.
Jitters like
I feel
butters?
it's more malleable, so it expands.
All right.
Okay, so these are the ones we go with, the generic ones. Okay.
10, 11 years of jiu-jitsu then?
11.
11?
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. And when did you put on your black belt?
So July 2nd, 3rd of this year.
Wow, man. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's so cool that you remember the exact date too, because
It's almost like your own your new
yeah,
birthday.
your
Oh,
new
black
birthday.
belt's so
So now you start the journey.
Yeah.
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 So,
So,
go ahead.
speaking of journey, one of the we were in a great opportunity during our promotion to see two individuals get promoted to black belt. Excuse me. But one thing that Professor read on one or both of them, because he was reading like his hey, this is why you became a black belt, and so it was really memorable. But one of the thoughts that had me thinking is when you become a black belt, it is more about what you plan to contribute to being jiu-jitsu, right? You're now an expert, not an expert, but you are looked at as how are you going to contribute. So may I ask, how are you going to contribute to make jiu-jitsu better or just jiu-jitsu?
Or also,
Better
put
yourself.
put this in there as well as a question. What impact are you going to make?
Impact, yes.
So for me, like right off the bat, it's like just the lessons that I've acquired, right? Because personally, I think like I'm like an old fossil already, right? Like the moment we become an adult, we're an old fossil already, and like the next generation, right? Our kids, right? Is the next generation. Like I'm already thinking ahead. What are some things that the knowledge that I'm going to pass on to them that they can use so they can pass on to whoever they're going to teach, right? So that's one way. And then also like there's so much information out there where with the black belt, right? I have this like kind of sense of the mantle of responsibility that placed upon me. So I have to do my due diligence of like, hey, everybody's going to see me as a leader, right? Because I have this piece of fabric around my waist, right? And so I have to use my knowledge, my experience that I have encountered throughout my 11 years of jiu-jitsu and doing it to kind of filter out, the BS and the things that are good, that are worth trying to contribute to, right? That aspect. Another aspect too is like using technology, like for myself, I just try to post every day like a training, like a highlight reel of like certain techniques that I actually use, versus like, hey, I'm going to do this flying omoplata, gogo plata weird thing that I have never done in my life. Like I'm not going to show that, right? That's, and so also another way of contribution is like, not only the stuff that you learn technique-wise in jiu-jitsu, but also like life in general. Talk about like the blue belt blues or like the so-called plateau, which I don't believe in. Like this plateau of like people always hit each time they, each rank that they obtain or before they obtain, and just say like, hey, it's not changing the mindset and perception of things too. One is like these plateaus. I don't think of it as a plateau. I think of it as like an opportunity, right? Of hey, this is like your time to actually like focus on something, identify a problem or a friction point. Think about what you need to work on, development, right? Skill development, and then that's when you're gonna actually jump to the next rank or development in your progression.
Yep.
And then also like demystifying some things too, because everybody thinks like, oh, I need to get this belt. I need to get this belt. I need to get this next belt. I don't believe that at all, right? Yeah. See, I know some people be like, oh, but you got your black belt, right? You can just say what. No, like I truly believe like, yeah, I have this coveted black belt, but I think it doesn't even matter, right? It's more about skill development and skill acquisition, or skill acquisition and skill development, right? Like that's why I'm trying to impart this, kind of mantra or like mindset to people I teach, because if they're just so focused on the belt, they're not going to focus on like, oh, I want to get this next belt. Yeah, but you're not working on your knee cut, or you're not working on your leg locks. Like you're so concerned about this materialistic thing that doesn't even matter, right?
Yeah.
And like take a prime example, okay? So I have this guy that I train with at my school, right? His name's Hunter, a freaking phenom, right? He's like 20 years old. I'm 31, right? and he just, he whoops my ass. And he's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just got promoted to purple belt. He beat me when he was a blue belt, and he'd been doing this for almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So that, if you think of that in that context, it's like the belt doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like I personally think like jiu-jitsu shouldn't have any belts at all. It should be like wrestling, where it's like, oh, how many years of wrestling have you been doing?
Yeah.
How many years have you been grappling? Versus like, what belt are you? It doesn't even matter. Like even I forget who, one of the Gracies was like, oh, the whole purpose of a belt is to hold, to cover 2 inches of your ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think of that. I'm just like, okay, you're not gonna bump into a guy in the street like by accident, right? And when you're about to defend yourself, you're just like, what belt are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
It's no. So
You know what else matters? What neighborhood did you grow up in? What? You guys want some?
yeah.
If you grew up in the East Side San Jose, that's an automatic purple belt.
West Side.
No, really, in the military, right? We had McMap. Right?
Yep.
So the instructor's like, look, fuckers. And obviously back then they used to swear a lot. If you don't know how to fight, you're not going to know how to fight after this class, all right? Because you just have to know. It has to be in you. And as far as the hand-to-hand, like, contact, So yeah, your childhood, if you wrestled in your childhood, if you, lived in the hood, I think matters a lot, because if you go to what's it called, West Point type school, you're not gonna really get in any fights, are you? But
No.
if you go to
I don't
the
know.
hood,
We can bring a West Point guy on. He's fun to interview.
who?
You got someone?
Yeah, got a
was
couple
it?
guys.
Okay, cool.
Oh shit, who was it? We had somebody.
No,
No.
I was saying we should bring one on. We can
yeah.
we can bring a guy on.
So
Yeah.
so fun fact, right? So a couple of my coworkers and colleagues, like they actually like went to West Point. Obviously they're my friends, so they're not like douchebags, right? I gotta filter that out, right? Oh, you're West Point?
Yeah,
Oh, but you're not
yeah.
douchebag, right? I was like, okay.
Clarification.
So
hey, we need that scrolling message that says not all thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, reflected of this. Yeah.
But like some of the requirements, right? They have to take an extracurricular like sport or activity, right?
Yep.
And then like one of it is either boxing or combatives, right? To pass a class, right? And so the founder of Modern Army Combatives, Matt Larson, he actually still teaches there, right? So they do get some contact, but like it's so funny is if you were on the struggle bus to pass like the basic combatives course level 1,
Oh, jeez.
you have to repeat it. And one of my friends, one of my coworkers, he told me like there was a guy in his class that was on the struggle bus. Like he could not pass. It's called the King George drill. So basically, like you have to defend yourself from swinging punches, close the distance, and get a body lock of some sort, right? This dude was getting wailed at, right? Boom, boom. He could not pass for his life, and so he failed that class, and so he had to take it again the next semester. And he's just like, "Oh my god!"
Could you imagine the anxiety?
He just needs to get jumped outside.
Yeah.
Go to a bar, pick a fight, get
That's how,
jumped.
that's how you
and
correct
then,
it.
and then you're like, all right.
Gotta get
Blanket
out there.
party.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can I
So
say
let-
that?
so-
Can I say that?
Yeah, blanket party. Yeah, that's when you're.
When you bring your blanket
to a party.
to a party. Yes.
What about the bars of soap? Like, oh, that's separate.
It's like Pinche's, dude. So as a black belt,
Bars of soup and
that's
Pinchos.
that's actually a
That
movie.
sounds like a movie.
what would you recommend to people thinking about jiu-jitsu? What would you recommend for the white belt to focus on, the blue belts, the purple belts, and the brown belt?
Oh, that's a good question. So as a white belt, right? Obviously, you're going from the couch and making that step forward through the door, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Take that.
first thing is like
Just get there.
get your just basic.
be there.
Just ask questions first. Like, hey, I'm interested. So I'm always on these like on Facebook, and people asking like, hey, I'm a 50-year-old person about to want to try jiu-jitsu. Any advice? And I see some people just trolling them. It's just like,
Don't die.
don't take a lot of aspirin and like stretch out.
Send
right?
them to me. I'll fix that.
Tap,
But as a
tap all the time.
But as a white belt, I think the main focus is number one, get through the door. Number two is making sure you find the right school, right? Just don't try to be like, I go to this one school, boom, I'm sold, right? Unless it's like super phenomenal, right? Just try all the places first, do their trial classes, and then go from there. Once you establish, your place of training, the next thing is a lot of people that you get through the door, it's like, I want to learn how to attack, offense, right? But I always think as a white belt, you should be like Houdini, a master of defenses and escapes, right?
Yep, survive,
right? And from there is don't even look at the fancy YouTube stuff, right? Look at some of some of the other channels that on YouTube that actually breaks down like, hey, this is an analysis on how to defend something, right? Or here's the concepts, right?
How to get out of guard.
Yeah,
how to pass.
Yeah,
guard.
it's a little mundane and it's gonna suck because you're just getting smashed. But the inevitable fact is like, unless you're like a D1 wrestler or you had some wrestling before you joined jiu-jitsu, you're gonna be on the defensive, being in the defensive cycle the entire most of the time, right? A lot. And then another thing is, just relax. Like, don't go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Well, that's what I see with wrestlers. They come in and they're just like, rah,
but
rah.
that's different because they have wrestling. This is more of like, I'm from Fort Couch to jiu-jitsu, like that step, right? They have no athletic experience, nothing, right? Like, and I breathe, like the person that breathes, they start sweating profusely. That type of person, right?
You don't want him going.
So my own personal experience, right, is it took me a year and a half, like from when I started to when I finally get that light bulb in my head to flicker, right? It was, instead of just going like, being in the Army, it's like, I gotta go hard, I gotta go like, boom, right?
Yeah.
It's squeezing. So when I was so I did 2 months of training at my first school. Then I went down to college, right? They had a club there. It was ran by a purple belt and a blue belt. And so I'm learning from them. I'm doing the same old thing. Like, I'm on a freaking grinding. I'm using my strength, isometric workouts, right? It's more isometric workout, like to the gills, right? And I'm just doing this. And then one day I'm just sitting there, right? A year and a half of me training. I'm sitting there. I seen these two, the purple belt and blue belt rolling. And I'm like, maybe if I just chill the fuck out, maybe that'll work. And then lo and behold, I just chilled out and I'm like, it took me a year and a half to figure this out, right? So for every white belt, like anybody listening to this who want to start jiu-jitsu, just relax. With the limited techniques that you have, just work on it. And then also ask questions. Yeah, you're going to ask stupid questions, but that's expected as a white belt, right? Just ask questions. Like, don't ask another white belt, for goodness. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, hey, buddy, how can I do this armbar correctly? Oh, you just swing your legs up. No. Ask, like, at a minimum, a purple belt and beyond, right? Ask them, because they have those, like, details that you're going to need, right?
Reps,
so that,
too.
Yeah. And then, as a blue belt, you made that jump from white belt to blue belt. Okay, so next thing is, it's going to be a plateau. You're going to hit your first plateau, right? Or your second plateau, right?
Do you think, real quick, I think it's culture too. So I think it's the group of blue belts you have. I think we have a different, at least with our gym, and every gym's different in their own respect, but I think our blue belts are more accountable for each other. So I think, and we've had good representation from our blue belts, because I had her. I don't want to call them horse.
Hey, Christopher, I'm a purple belt.
I know. I'm not looking at you like that
more.
anymore. You got to
Like,
wear your coin around.
And I'm a brown, but I don't even care what you say.
It doesn't count, okay?
All right.
So that representation left when I got my purple belt.
And as usual, you're already starting to show up late to the conversation.
Skip warm-ups. Just
Skip
jump in,
warm-ups.
like,
Hey, just jumping in here, guys. Oh, are you training?
He showed up with the wrong colored gi for
Gi
the promotion.
for his
That's a new
promotion.
one.
Oh.
Was it white?
It was all white. He showed up in bluish.
Something.
Yeah,
Bluish. Yeah,
No.
blue.
Hey,
blue
just
gi.
a quick side note.
It was so funny
Quick
because
side story.
he came in like, hey guys, and then like by the
His
time his feet
eyes.
hit the mat, his feet got really hot, and he went right out the back door, and all you saw was his bald head duck.
With a cloud of dust behind him.
And then literally he shows right up when they're like, and for purple belt, Luis,
Should have right when they
right here.
should have right when they were giving out the purple belts.
So I rush back, right? I go, fuck. I rush back. I drive up, open the garage. I'm like, okay, got my pants, my white pants, and I'm like, all right, let's go. Wait, where's my top? Where's
Mix
my
match.
I'm like, fuck, where is it? And I found an old dirty one. I go,
No.
I can't use this one. I'm like, damn it. You know what? Wife, get off the car. That's it. It's over. I was sitting in the couch. I was starting to put Netflix on. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to go. This is bullshit. Anyways, boom, light bulb went off. I know where it's at.
Right here.
Right there. Right there. Fucking ran. And then I told wife, hey, don't worry about it. I'm just going to go.
Disregard.
I'm not going to go. Go ahead and chill. There's a lot of people. You know, you're going to be there for 4 hours. I'm probably barely going to get a stripe. You know, just, whatever. So I rushed over there.
Yeah, you didn't have any more room for stripes.
And then boom.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had
like-
2. Look at my belt.
Dude, yeah, like
Look
10
at-
stripes.
no,
I think
There's-
2 of those
hey,
fell off because I could see
Davis,
I could see leftover
I was
tape on
2
the near
stripes.
bottom one there.
Not that one. That's another
one,
story.
I
Yeah,
see
that
some
one.
residue for another faint one
Tell
up
the
there.
black belt how long you were blue belt.
2. I did.
How many years?
Like fucking 6 years.
Okay.
Like forever.
Right, 9
With-
stripes.
Hey, hold on.
9
2
stripes.
stripe blue belt.
9 stripe blue belt.
And I trained.
He's
I
a
trained.
coral blue belt.
Yeah.
With the nastiest paper cutter / whatever you
I
want to
agree.
call it. It's so bad that, like I would say most, I have heard that a lot of the names for moves are based off of guys who like made them famous. They're just going to rename it to Louis Cutter.
Louis Cutter.
Yeah, Louis Cutter.
Yeah, I like
Louis
it.
chops.
That's my
'Cause it
go-to.
just-
This is
Yeah.
good too.
And you just know it's coming and there's no...
As soon as it's side control, like it's like, and I call it out too. So I was a blue belt for
Whisper.
so long. I used to just like narrate, what was coming. And I had fun with it. Okay, so look, I'm gonna do this, and then you're gonna go there, and then I'm gonna do this. Okay, oh, the paper cut just come, and you defend it, but.
That's coming.
And you defend it, and I get my head. Anyways, so blue belt. Sorry.
So blue belt, obviously going to hit either your first or second plateau, and then this is the part, like I mentioned earlier, it's not a plateau, it's an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the moment you feel like I'm not improving, like you want to take the emotional context out of it, right?
Yep.
So this, for me, my personal experience is it took me years to kind of remove the emotional content,
Yes.
right, and just look at it as with a objective like view, right? It's like, man, I'm not getting this. I suck, right? I'm trash, right? It's like, okay, this is where the decision point is like, okay, are you gonna stick with this or are you gonna freaking disappear and like the blue belt blues and depression just like gone, right?
Yeah.
So to always think of it as an opportunity, and then when you feel it, immediately think, okay, take a step back. All right, what am I struggling at? This is where you should ask more questions. It's like, hey, coach or professor, like, this is what I'm struggling at. Like, what do I need to work on, right?
Yep.
And obviously, being in the military, it's like don't approach your leader with your problems.
Yeah.
Only problems. You approach your leaders with problems with solutions, right?
Right.
So when you talk to your coach or professor, like, hey, I'm struggling here, but this is what I see. Can I do this? Can I do that? And then them with experience, they can filter out like, yeah, when you try to berimbolo, like don't do this, right? You need to work on your inversion. You need to learn how to get some flexibility, or work on this, right? As an example. So that's and you're gonna be on the blue belt for a hot minute, unless you're a phenom, right? You're gonna be there for a hot minute, and then that's when you get to like, I would say as early as that second, 2-stripe blue belt or 3-stripe blue belt. This is when you are like, all right, I'm gonna try to find my early development of my style, right?
Damn.
Obviously, as a white belt, there's no
Yeah.
style. You're just being fed through a fire hose, and it's like, oh, okay, right? And then like you learn as is, right? Like, and then you go from there. And then as purple belt, you find your style. Now you're gonna refine it a little bit, right? This is like, okay, I found my style. Now let me see if I can add more stuff, or let me go out my comfort zone and try to add more stuff, right? Because the moment you hit from purple belt to brown belt, right? This is where like, hey, as a brown belt, you already have your style. It's time to refine it, right? So I always think of it like as a white belt, right? You're given, you don't have a spoon. You don't have a knife, right? You have a wooden spoon, right? This is what you're gonna use to freaking fight people with, okay? Right? You don't know how to use it,
And
right?
the spoon's in your
A
ass
wooden-
half the time.
A wooden spoon too.
A
Not a
wooden-
metal spoon.
you get a wooden spoon, right? And then it's like, okay, as a blue belt, it's like, oh, okay, now it's a shiv, right?
Yeah.
But you suck. You can't even wield the shiv correctly, right? So it's like, it's like, wait, I'm stabbing the blunt end. It's like, oh, disappointing end. Oh, my bad, right?
Whoops.
Now,
My fingers.
now it's like, okay, as a purple belt, now you have like,
Now you know the pointy end away.
or now you have a steak knife, right? Now you got like steak knife. Now it's like, okay, I know how to wield this a little bit. I have, I'm sharp. I can actually like hurt people with this, right? I can actually do something. And then as a brown belt, I mean, like this is where you actually have a knife. It's a little bit dull, but you know how to wield it a little bit, and you just gotta hone it, right? You gotta hone it because as a brown belt, you're already you're at black belt basically. Now you just have time, kind of like a red shirt, right? Like in wrestling, you're a red shirt. You're gonna stay an extra year of just honing your skills, right?
Yeah.
And then let me backtrack a little bit. So as a purple belt, mid purple belt, this is where you should like start. You haven't done it right. Start teaching, giving like analysis, right, and like to people. And for me, when I was a purple belt, this is where I went from. This technique is super fancy. I got more interested of like the concept. It's like,
Yes.
this hand placement here is really interesting. I'm gonna deep dive into that. It's like, this
Concepts.
hands on hips, right, when passing guard. This is really interesting. So I started falling in love with that more than just like, oh, look, a flying arm bar. Like, I want to try that, right? So I kind of have a passion to kind of look at more of the conceptual stuff, right, versus just straight technique.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you're describing a very traditional type of jiu-jitsu, because nowadays you have this crazy fancy flying arm bars and all this other stuff. And I think the traditional stuff, the basic stuff, is
Practical.
what works.
Right. And then once you reach from black belt, although I'm still immature in my with my rank, right? What I learned is like from now it's like, hey, like I said earlier, you have this mantle of responsibility a lot more than when you start being a coach. Right now, people address you as professor, even though I like to be called coach. Right, it's more for me personally acceptable for me, and you kind of give back. And now it's like you should do your due diligence of like actually keep up with the times, right? So instead of, I know all the stuff that I learned the past 11 years, I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to learn anything new. I'm just going to do this, right? And then all of a sudden it's like you get caught up in some sort of guard or it's a new way of passing and you didn't do your homework and you're just like, oh, crap. Now
You're behind.
You're behind, right?
Yeah.
Behind with the times, right? Perfect example, right? Like 2016, 2017. It's like when the Danaher Death Squad, when they were still together, they were killing everyone at leg locks.
Leg
Like, it's
locks.
like, what is going on, right? Yeah. It's like, no, you had this like friction point of like, the traditional, Brazilians are like, like people that do foot locks like freaking cheaters, right?
Yeah,
it's like the thieves, right?
Yep.
And then, or shoemakers, right? Zapateros. So it's like, but then all of a sudden you're getting destroyed. Now you're getting destroyed like with these leg locks, right? And it's like, what is going on? And then now, like people are like, okay, now since you see that these moves are effective, right? No longer is this mystique of like, or the stigma of, leg lockers, you guys are a piece of shit. You guys are cheaters, whatever, right? It's now acceptable, right?
Yeah.
But that happens with, you had to go keep up with the times,
They say that about wrist locks.
Yeah. And also another thing
Which
too,
are never acceptable.
and then for me, for my personal journey, it's like now it's thinking not only what to teach, but how to teach, right? So like the pedagogy, right? So like how to teach. So
Right.
I obviously most of my time like going up the ranks is the basic traditional model of like we do a warm up, which we'll get to that. But if we're doing like shrimping on the mats, and I heard from a lot of people, podcasts and whatnot, high level people, like they don't know. Like if you want to do a warm up, it should be the technique that you're doing, right? Or you're doing some games, and then you do your block of instruction, and then you're rolling, right? For me now, it's researching like what types of ways to kind of distribute convey the information from from the teacher to the student. So instead for me now, I used to teach the same way, right? Hey, we do warm ups, run around the mats, right? And then do the block instruction, and then we go rolling. So now what I'm working on is kind of involving myself in teaching, like using the ecological approach or the constraint-led approach. And there's some people this is like this new woo-woo type way of learning, but it's an effective way, right? And it's like science-based, and some wrestling teams like Penn State are using it. Some actually baseball teams are actually using it, right? And volleyball teams are using the way of teaching that. So instead of using, I know we're going on a huge tangent
No.
here.
So what is that? What is that?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about
so
that.
the ecological approach is basically like, so instead of teaching a technique, it's basically like, all right, like a block of instruction, like, all right, guys, we're going to learn this here. This, obviously, the setting, right? Person demonstrate the technique, All right, anybody got questions? All right, 1, 2, 3, clap, right? And then you drill it. So that kind of imposes two things, right? That's ineffective. Unless the instructors like this, discreetly say, hey, the dummy, or sorry, not the dummy, the person that's the technique's doing is being done upon, give resistance, right? But obviously 9 out of 10 times, how often do you see that? Not, right? Because the person's going to lay there.
Yeah.
The person doing the move is like, okay, we're doing this, boom, right? And switch, right? 2 reps per person. So the ecological approach is basically you're learning the techniques or the concepts of whatever's taught that day through a set of games, right? So a lot of people say it's like basically specific training. Not really. It's more like it's games where both people have a task and a focus, right? And then they play the games, right? So that way there's full resistance, right? And then the person that's learning it will have to learn on the fly, like how to adapt the technique versus like the person down below, for example, right? Person on top is doing the move.
Yeah.
And they're just doing it with no resistance, right? But it's just like, imagine, you're trying to lift or bench press 500 pounds, right? So if you're just benching just like no resistance, right? No weights on the bar, do you think, you're going to have this false sense of like, oh, I can bench 500 pounds. But then when you actually put it like live resistance, I'm struggling.
Yep.
So
Davis, you mentioned specific training, right? So
Right.
you learn the move of the day, and then you go in and you get in those positions, and you start from there, right?
Right.
Is that what you're talking about? But at 100%, like, or 80%.
So one of the people that are very like actually pushing for the ecological approach, right? This is a guy out of Maryland. His name is Greg Saunders, right? And his goal, he doesn't teach any technique, right? He believes there's no such thing as techniques. There are movements. There are things where his entire teaching model is based on this thought, right? Play games, right? And then he'll go like, person on top, task and focus is do this. Person on bottom, task and focus is do this, right? And it's like he's trying to constrain it to the point to where both people are actually learning things that they're adapting to the environment that they're in, right? Specifically, right? Not the other way around where the environment is adapting to them. You know what I mean? So that's just why they're using the constraint-led approach or the ecological approach in order to get better, right? Because now they're, instead of being like, oh, I learned this technique in this certain sequence, but then now this variable, right?
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere. It's like, oh, I don't know what to do now because they're not taught to be adaptable. So this is where the games comes in to where, yeah, it's kind of rough because you're struggling to learn, but now like if you don't get the techniques on hand, like by verbatim or like move for move, at least you know the concepts. And then now when these variables comes out of nowhere, you're just like, oh yeah, just connect.
You connect all the dots.
So that's a new way that I'm teaching my my guys.
I would compare it to, with my teacher background, almost like immersion in the language.
So immersion, they talk about. So in the ecological approach, they actually use that immersion.
It's
right?
immersion where you're going to learn more of just being kind of trial by fire with some foundation, so you can see your sticking points and you're applying them to a real situation versus that we're going to have a very controlled environment here. And we're going to teach you A to B to C to D, and the person's going to sit there and the person's going to look like an opponent, but the person isn't going to act like an opponent. And you're going to have these specific steps, and then you do it 3 to 5 times, whatever, and then you switch. I'm not where you're at. I'm concept-based, like, okay, this is ideal in this situation. This is what you should be concerned about in terms of control, in terms of advancing your position, in terms of recognizing what your opponent's doing. And then that person's also playing his game. Because to me, I see jiu-jitsu like a scale. You start neutral in the middle, and everyone's moving this back and forth by what they're doing, and you kind of have to think about what's going on. So to me, jiu-jitsu is like a fluency. Again, it's like white belt, you're learning your words. Blue belt, you learn sentences. Purple, paragraphs. Brown belt, you can write essays. Black belt, poetry. And so it's just like, go out there and try it.
I like that.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's like this new, it's not new, it's just new to the jiu-jitsu world, right?
Yes.
Like it's not it's just something brought up from like the sports area, right? Professional sports into this this hobby that we do, right? And for more information, like just look up like the ecological approach, right? Rob Gray, he's a leading head on this. Greg Sodders, Standard Jiu-Jitsu, that's his, look him up. Like it's crazy. It's just like you hear this podcast, like a bunch of podcasts that he's in. He might sound like an asshole, but he's so passionate about it that it kind of like he's an asshole, but he's not.
Yeah.
Like as a teacher, the thing is, when I look at jiu-jitsu, it's such a stoic, traditional, just this respected martial art. I think sometimes it holds back when people try to introduce new techniques or new styles of learning, because the old timers and the people that are really looking at the origins, it's like you're taken away from it. And this, just like example, the leg locks. People are like, no, it needs to go through an evolution. And so I think sometimes because of the appeal and the tradition of jiu-jitsu, I think that sometimes holds back people who are innovators. But with any type of learning, I'm looking at as a teacher, there has to be this looking at what creates the best learning environment, the best bang for your buck, so that when you have your students in a gym or / school learning, what's going to be the best learning environment for them. And so I'm with you, like running around and stretching, that's fine, but I have an hour and a half. I might be a hobbyist or whatever. I want to get down to learning this. It's like learning guitar. Just throw me in, give me some basics, and let's just beat the shit out of this song, instead of like, okay, I want you to do scales. That's fine, but also throw me into it so I can learn it.
Yeah, so like that's another thing too. Like another, I don't want to say controversial thing, is like static drilling is just BS. Like, we're gonna run around the mats, we're gonna do shrimps, like. And at first I'm just like, man, this is very blasphemous, right? It's like I always done this like for years when I was from blue to purple to brown, right? And then I'm listening to other high level competitors, and they say the exact same thing across the board. It's like, if you just want to do warm ups, do the warm ups that mimics the movements of the techniques you're about to do, right? So instead of like, we're gonna stretch like this.
Well, my take on that is prevent injury, right? You want to stretch. You still want to run. You want to do. I mean, if you do 30 jumping jacks, and then 20 push-ups, 30 jumping jacks, 20 push-ups, that's a warm-up. That gets your heart going, and then you go into the actual move. But and I don't know, for me, the shrimping has really helped. Like what is it called? When you shrimp all the way down.
Yeah.
If you do it intentionally, like a lot of people just fucking no, if you're like, you pretend in your head you have somebody on you and you're fucking moving. But
you're imagining it though, right? So you're thinking like this level of like imaginary resistance. But if you think about it, right, when you shrimp, so for me, right, the shrimping was
the hip escape.
The hip escape is the number one example, right? It's like, okay, so this person is saying like shrimping is not worth it, right? And I was like, okay, why is he saying that? So one individual I listened to, he said that when you shrimp, in actuality, when you're actually in mount for sure, are you gonna expect to shrimp like the full way? It never happens, right? For me, I never shrimp like that anymore. I literally just turn to my side, just push a little bit. It's not even shrimping that you're doing, right? So you think about it, like, yeah, it kind of helps like the warm-ups, but if you want to just do a warm-ups like that, you might just set up a game of like, hey, today, the first game we're going to play is person on bottom, mount. Task and first focus on the person on top is to maintain mount. Task and purpose on person on bottom, right, is to not shrimp, is to isolate a leg between your legs and go from there, right? And then from there, it mimics the hip escape, right? The hip movements, but you're not actually shrimping, right? It's actually like you're shrimping in a realistic manner versus, all right, there's nobody up here, I'm going to shrimp like this, right?
Well, yeah, you do this fancy.
But just think about it. Next time, like as a litmus test, right? When you go back to your training, next time you do your warm-ups, just keep that in mind. It's like, am I actually shrimping like this in real life or in a extra
I'm just going to say,
situation?
this is bullshit. No, I'm just kidding. It's no different than practicing. You could do jumping jacks or all that, but I like it when we practice like 15 hip throws. You know,
No, you do not like that. Hold the fuck. Time out.
Yeah, I do.
You do not like hip throws. We all know that.
Well, that was purple belt, Joe.
That was,
Yeah, now I'm brown belt.
sorry.
Okay.
Brown
He
belt,
hurts.
yeah.
Like, he's like, ow.
Not
well,
anymore.
I hurt because I pushed the limit on my body.
True.
Yeah, that's
love
one
you.
of the things I'm sure professor here or coach would say, if you're not hurting, you're not trying.
But you've been hurting. You've been hurting for like
It depends.
1776.
Yes, I have. And you know what?
Hey, speaking of...
You're welcome.
Speaking of body throws, how's Tyler?
He's doing good. Yeah. No.
He hurt his knee on
Yeah, it was planted and his body went
BS.
one way and ankle went the other.
His son. His son.
Yeah.
Knee took the brunt. But he's better. I think yesterday was the last day of like treatment.
Yeah.
We're just trying to
He was on a
finish it out.
skateboard on...
Yeah.
Oh, that was a nice skateboard. Who got him
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Santa.
Yeah, Dad.
Santa.
I want to make sure I ask 3 questions from you before.
No.
Okay, number
One.
2.
Because of you,
3.
I always think about like him with the paper cutter.
Leg locks.
Why the leg locks? Number
I knew
2.
Because he's already there.
Well, just to let the audience know, the first time our gym or coffee crew actually met Davis, he went through and he just basically tore everyone's legs off.
30
Yeah.
seconds. 20
Yeah, and
seconds.
everyone's like, "What the?"
But he did it in
and-
such a nice
and-
way.
yeah.
You controlled.
I just
You
watched
controlled it so that people wouldn't get... Not a single person got hurt.
No.
I watched every one of y'all just tap.
I still remember those days and what happened. And I want to thank you. I'm not trying to. It changed our mentality of like, oh, this is a thing that we weren't. Now we're not great at it, but it's just like, okay, we're doing okay at jiu-jitsu, and then this guy comes in, and all of a sudden, it's just like, oh dang, there's this big hole that we have to
Address.
be aware of, and we have addressed it because of that. So I want to thank you for that. But why leg locks? Number 2, what's it look for you in terms of jiu-jitsu? You can still, because I know you've done some competitions lately. Are you going to continue that? Why or why not? And then what are also other plans that you might have for yourself going forward?
Okay, so number 1, like why leg locks? So when I was just a recent promoted purple belt, right? So for job wise, I was in Colorado. I got orders to come back to Georgia, right? And going back to the same to Fort Benning, right? And I was going back to my previous professor. So while I was in Colorado, right, he participated on one of the Fight to Win fights in Atlanta, and he went against a 10th Planet guy, right? And he got leg locked like in front of everybody, right? And obviously that's a hit to his ego, right? That he has. He hit like he got embarrassed basically, right? And it went.
Is this no-gi or gi?
It's no-gi, right? And so the guy, so basically, my professor in his mind, he was like, you know, I don't want to get embarrassed again. There's a lack, like you said, like there's a gap in my understanding of these leg locks. I need to deep dive into this, and so this won't happen again, right? So when I came back, he was like, all right, you know, we're going to freaking do like freaking heel hooks and leg locks, right? And in my head, immediately, I'm thinking like, UFC Rousimar Paharis, like just gripping and just ripping, right? Tearing these apart. Yeah. And so in my head, I'm just
Scary.
like, holy crap. I'm afraid for my life, for my knees, right? So I'm scared.
Yeah.
But then around, again, this is like around 2016, 2017. So this is where the DDS was killing everyone with leg locks, right? So obviously with the limited information we have about their philosophy and the way they train, it's, you know, straight from Danaher's mouth, he said like, in the past, it used to be grip and rip it, right? There was no systematized way of like doing this in a safe manner, right? It's just grab and go, and then that was it, right? So there's an injury to their partner, and then now you don't have one less of a partner to have to train with. But it's a system of control. So with that in mind, like I learned that, and then all of a sudden, I kind of work with it, and then I was like, man, I kind of relate this like kind of like Batman, right? You know, like Bruce Wayne when he was going through like his training, and then he's like, I used to be feared of bats because he fell through the cave, right? Whatever variation of Batman movies you watch, and then he's like, my fear of the bats, it's like the symbol, right? So it's kind of like for me, it's like I used to be so afraid of leg locks, but then now it's like my niche. So this is the reason why like I love it, right? And then what's your second question? Competition, right?
Yeah, so you have done things like Fight to Win, correct?
Not Fight to Win per se, but like the combat
Okay.
sports
Okay.
coverage recently. Sub 100 Pro, which was my first event.
Yeah, Sub 100 Pros.
Why were you? Because some of us would have talked about it, but why go that route versus tournament? And are you going to continue to do that?
So I did tournaments. It's just that the concept of a super fight was so foreign to me. Up until I was a brown belt. When I first moved here, it was like, you know, I seen my professor, like, or my coach Travis. He's been on these super fights. I've seen, you know, Chris Orozco. He's been on this, right?
Yes.
And I'm just like, man, this is so cool. And then I always have seen other people do the, you know, the Fight to Wins, these super fights on the mixed stage, and I always want to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then being so close to someone that actually like on stage, and then the proximity of these events happening here, like in Texas, it was just like Providence, right? It's just like, man, I am blessed to be in this moment right here, right now in space and time.
That's a great place to
And
be.
so there, it was when I first got here, it was like, you know, the Sub 100 Pro was coming through Killeen, right? And so I'm just like, you know what? For shits and giggles, I'm going to put an application in. There's probably nobody in my weight class. I'm just going to put it in, right? And then all of a sudden, on a rainy day, like going to training, I look at my email, and I was like, oh, crap. I got accepted. And this actual person I'm going to fight, right? I'm like, holy crap, this is actually happening. You know? And then afterwards, it's like, you know what? It's, yeah, doing a tournament is one thing, but getting on a stage with the music, with people watching you, and man, I just feel like you're that feeling of being like a celebrity, you know, like an actual fighter, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
And that's the reason why I went through that route. And then for
Going forward.
so the previous combat sports coverage I did, right? I couldn't get a super fight. I had to do the only option they had available was a Grand Prix, like bracket, right?
Yes.
Style tournament.
What's a Grand Prix? I'm so sorry.
It's just a name for it. Tournament.
Okay.
It was like 4 people, including myself, in it.
Okay.
But the catch was like I was like the lightest of everybody, so everybody was like 150 and up. I was only like 143, right? So it was a challenge. But since
Where are you at right now?
I'm at 149. Thank God for the holidays, right? Like, so
Thanksgiving.
yeah. So I had that, and
It's a nice problem to have, huh?
the promoter was so impressed because it was like a last minute thing. It was 1 week out. I accepted it, and he was so impressed that he wanted me to come back. So with that, on the 27th of next month, they're actually gonna have it somewhere around like near San Antonio.
Oh.
But this time, instead of being on a mat, it's gonna be in a cage.
But
Interesting.
like,
Jiu-jitsu.
it's gonna be
Jiu-jitsu
like
in a cage.
All right. But the bottom is gonna be like
Mats.
spring.
Yeah, spring.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so
okay.
everything's the same.
I thought it
except-
was gonna be like on glass and fire, ring of
No,
fire.
this is not
and
kickboxing,
sand.
man.
No Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No blood sport.
Too much
blood
blood
sport.
sport. I love blood sport.
It's awesome movies. Yeah,
I know, I love
and then
that
going
movie.
forward, apart from tournaments, I would like to do a couple more super fights, some tournaments. Actually, hopefully, if ADCC comes around, like the Opens,
Yeah.
to do that.
Have you done this cycle?
No, I haven't. But it's for me, my personal, not worry, but in the back of my head is like I don't train enough for it to
Okay.
where.
Yeah.
But and here's the thing, though. Me being 31, I always think I'm 21, and I just want to
I'll try to be
roll
my
with the
age,
young
too.
with the young
Yeah.
bloods, right? And I'm like, but there's a Masters division, so I was like, you know what? Maybe it's okay.
Don't
I'll,
take a stick at the Masters.
I'm just gonna go to Masters and try it out. So who knows?
Yeah,
you
just
know?
try Masters. It's
How
fun.
about
Just try Masters.
your own gym one day?
For sure. So, I already like for years I was like I want to open a gym,
Awesome.
right? And I already had a name for it yet, like already. I just got to make it like official, make sure like nobody steals it. But I don't think anybody's gonna steal it in the next couple of years.
How about badass motherfucking jiu-jitsu?
Get the website.
Yeah.
Once you get the website, you're pretty much safe. 'Cause
Yeah.
You'll be able to promote the fuck out of it.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
awesome.
And then like just do that, like have a passion to do it.
Oh,
day in,
you
day
do.
out. Yeah.
You do already.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very. That's what I want
Damn.
to ask you. It's
You know,
obvious.
I have to confess something. All these episodes, I've never taken so much notes, like to like use, like practical. I know you can't understand these,
No.
but I got so much out of this.
Yeah, I took notes too.
Man, Man,
It's the first time he hasn't drawn a picture or colored. So
color. I haven't used crayons.
Or ate the crayon.
Crayons
I
have
got
already
the
been eaten.
crayons.
yeah.
Hey, so look, this podcast has gone way over, but it's so fucking cool.
quality.
Yeah, it's
It's
good.
quality.
Yep.
Like seriously,
I can go on
it's
forever.
amazing.
so.
Like seriously, like I love it.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
excited to have him
So
on.
this is
That'd
what
be
we're gonna
great.
do. We're gonna
Hit the affirmator.
hit the affirmators. All right. So affirmators. Let me.
So we have cards
these
here, and
ahead and explain
every
it.
week we have our guests draw any card they want, and then read it out loud, and then we talk about how it applies to possibly podcasts, which amazingly it has applied a lot, or just to something in life. So you can pick any card, read the word, and then read what it says. Anyone
And you can
want.
get into character, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, preferred.
Like preferred.
Oh, and then
Be funny
random.
about
Random.
Oh, random. You said you gave me the rule,
Yeah,
right?
I
yeah,
started
random.
random, yeah.
Random.
Oh, let's see what the black belt professor coach has for us.
I'll take this one.
There you go.
Self-reliance.
Oh, all right. All right.
Interesting.
So it says, I am confident, capable, walking, talking, learning machine. And I practice total self-reliance every chance I get. Even if something's tough, I can probably do it. Even if something is new to me, I can probably figure it out. Or maybe just Google it. Oh, and no one needs to know that my self-reliance relies on Google. So,
Facts.
Or
Hey,
jujitsu.
or jujitsu, or YouTube University, right? We're
yeah,
just talking about
yeah.
YouTube, where you just YouTube,
Flying armbar.
flying.
I
Yeah.
win.
So, any thoughts on that?
for me, I think it's it's very applicable. For me, so I kind of practice, not really talking about religion, but like stoicism, but not like the lowercase stoicism, but actually like the ancient Greek philosophy, school philosophy. So it's more like, I don't think everything's a problem. I think it's an opportunity, right? One of a cliche saying is like the obstacle is the way, right? Like Marcus Aurelius, right? One of the Stoic Roman emperors back in the day.
Yeah, he's
So
badass.
it's like, instead of like, oh, I help, like all your stuff is inside you. You just gotta identify the problem, and again, like I mentioned earlier, take the emotional context out of it, look at it objectively, and then go from there, right? Don't think of it as, oh, this roadblock, this problem I have is gonna stop me. It's like, okay, I can do this, right? And then that is kind of push you in a different trajectory, which you never expect, and it could be positive. Like you gotta be adaptive. Yeah.
Adaptive.
Yeah.
Hey, so why did this just remind me of Jocko Willing's Good.
Good. Oh, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a mindset. He has that mindset.
Oh, shit. The house just burnt down. Good.
Good.
We get to build a new one.
I just got a vasectomy. Good. Actually, be
I'm
like,
free now. Good. What are your thoughts on that?
No. Bad. Bad. No, I like the idea of self-reliance. I think it, I don't know, man, wow, a long time ago. I guess depending on which community or life I was a part of, you can't save anybody if you don't know how to save yourself.
Right.
Take care of oneself. So self-reliance allows you to be an anchor point and or have the opportunity to help others. So I believe wholeheartedly, a lot of people are quick to let go of their self-reliance, for the joy of a phone and a quick satisfaction of a ding, you got to like, that they rely heavily on others and the opinions of others, when really if you just disconnect just a little bit and plug into yourself, you'll
like it.
Right. But
Yeah.
even those like Google and ChatGPT, those are tools. Nobody needs to know about those. And you're being you're relying on yourself to figure that
right?
out.
Whether you can read a map, start a fire, find a search topic, be able to, right?
A Thomas guide.
Yeah, Thomas Guide. Lewis and Clark, right? That was your first contract?
Man, there was a point when I was looking, if we are starving, which one would we eat, Lewis or Clark? And I'm like, I don't know. Lewis has a good butt cheeks on him. That's a good ham.
He never tells us his age, and we finally figured it out last week.
Like
it's 72.
792,
72.
792, yeah. But the part on the self-reliance for jiu-jitsu, yeah, it is. Yes, it takes a partner to practice jiu-jitsu, and it takes a lot of partners to make like a really good game of jiu-jitsu. But it also takes the self-reliance within yourself to be curious enough to ask the questions to do better, or use your professor or your coaches as your Googles, right? Or get on Google. Hey, I need to zone in on something. So.
Well, I think Google in that case is good to just open up for questions, right?
Oh, yeah,
if you
yeah,
see
yeah.
something, you're like, well, hey, professor.
We do that
come
quite
here.
a bit, yeah.
This is what I'm trying to do. And he'll tell you like, no.
Nope.
Because there's an ocean of information. The problem now,
Yeah.
there's so much information.
Yep.
Before there wasn't any.
Right.
Yeah.
And you had all I'm not going to mention the jiu-jitsu
yeah.
academies, but they're like, oh, you can't go train over there.
Oh yeah.
Because they're going to learn our secrets. Well, fucking jiu-jitsu, YouTube University has all the secrets out there.
Yeah.
But it's how do you apply them and what's right and what's wrong.
Yep.
So, yeah, navigating that ocean of information is what's key nowadays. And yeah, but see, if you don't even know what to ask, like what you don't know is what really hurts you.
But part of that self-reliance is asking questions. Ask a lot of questions.
Ask questions.
Yes.
No matter where you're at.
Always ask.
Yeah, I think the question, like, I have a life goal to become a black belt, not just by title, but by experience. Just have that. I would like to look back at that point and go, all right, what can I learn now? Like, right? Not in the sense of a selfish, like, I've learned everything. It's like, now, what does that learning process look like? Like, what are the details that I'm looking at, and how, like you're talking about, just how can I make it better to learn jiu-jitsu?
Better's not the correct word. It's
Efficient.
more gooder.
More gooder.
Better.
Yeah, and really, like saying better is wrong too, right?
Right.
Especially with jiu-jitsu,
Hashtag
it's
PSL.
efficient.
yeah.
Hey, that's killing him,
Yeah.
Mr. Teacher here. He's like, oh God, more gooder.
Anyway, I like
I
that
always
card.
that's
I like
my,
that card. Self-reliance, yeah.
Bestest.
So I use that word a lot, or those words, more gooder, and sometimes I use
Yes,
around little kids. Mommy, that's wrong. Like, that's not correct grammar. I'm like,
Who is this guy? Don't trust him.
Danger.
Easy, ESL. All right. So it looks like, damn.
Do I get a shot?
Oh, yes,
Oh
sir.
yeah.
Yes,
We
sir.
forgot
Yes, sir.
the teacher here.
No,
All
he's
right.
over
So,
drawing
with his,
circles.
wisdom.
and-
I'm going to combine a couple of things.
Beautiful
So
mind.
why don't you give us our take, give us your take on this, and then just break it down.
For self-reliance, and we didn't get into it, but Davis was nice enough to share some of his background, and we have some similarities. So he's had to be very self-reliant. I think that's the mindset of a black belt too. It's just not a black belt in terms of the mats, but I think what you're saying, if I may, is just using what we learned from jiu-jitsu as a template for life too. It's just be more comfortable with discomfort, ask the questions, find people that can get you through your sticking point, because that lets you know where your growth is. And so being self-reliant, it helps push you to your limits, and then ask the questions, people that have that experience to get you past that limit, and it's just the journey. So today we started off with
Vasectomy.
yes, that's my first word. It burns in my brain, and
You broke that up quick.
Nope.
we just talked about
Christopher's going to have...
Thank you guys for all the ammo you have provided.
our guest with the Army, and then some way that segued into Pinches, and then we talked about his journey in jiu-jitsu, and I loved how he kind of broke down the different levels where it's just person off the couch to white to blue to purple to brown, just to hear his philosophy on that. And then also the one thing, besides him talking about leg locks and competing, the one theme that I got from him that I think everybody can resonate with here at the table and through the podcast is his mindset of it's not an obstacle. He kept saying, it's not an obstacle. It's not an obstacle. And I have a saying with my students, with people in meetings, obstacle is the wrong O word. I would say, oh, you used the wrong word. And they'd be like, what do you mean, obstacle? You used the wrong O word. It's opportunity.
Opportunity.
And it's that and that's that mindset of having the opportunity. This is my sticking point, just like jiu-jitsu. It's like, why does this guy always pass my guard? Why does this guy always leg lock me? Like example, the gym. That was the obstacle. It came in and went through us like a wet paper bag. And then we're like, okay. Yep. Some people were demoralized by that.
Very descriptive, by the way.
I remember that. Some people were very demoralized. People were demoralized when you did that. And I sat there and I said, okay, we got to figure some stuff out, because if he's going to come in and do that, then anyone else can.
We talk about selflessness. Yeah. He came back like a month later.
Do it again.
No. No, to show us.
Show us,
to,
and then do it again.
Not to how.
Yeah, and
that was very helpful.
It was.
Thank you.
I love it. I mean, how great was it that he came back and helped us with that too? Because we were lost. We're like, what the heck's going on?
He's like, oh god.
He's like, these poor guys, they're gonna all quit. So he came back and.
No, but I don't get nervous with it anymore.
Right.
Like oh, you got that?
Yeah.
But then every once in a while you get the ones that know what's up.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah.
I mean, it sent like a ripple through us. It's just like, oh my gosh, legs, tap.
Through
like,
you?
Yeah.
Shit, not
and then
me.
I saw that as an opportunity, and now I know why I'm tapping.
You know why you're shaking?
But thank you so much.
Go on.
And that's it. It was a longer episode, but that usually means it's pretty good. And I want to thank you for everything that you've done for our gym and what you're going to do with the other students, and then wishing you luck in competitions and looking forward to you being a professor of your own gym.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Davis, not David, Davis, the ecological approach.
Ecological approach.
That really hit
look it up.
right here. I'm gonna
look that up.
really get into it.
The guy, Greg Sodders, he has his own YouTube page, Standards Jiu-Jitsu, and he actually filmed 2 videos, a class of he running for the foundations class and the all levels class. And if you watch it, like, your mind's gonna be blown. It was like,
that's smart.
what? Like, how is he doing this? No technique? What?
What's his name?
Greg Sodders. So last name is spelled Souders.
All right, everybody. That you guys heard that. Rewind if you didn't get it.
And also, we just to let you know, we'll put out stuff on the podcast, because Davis does do daily videos where he shows technique too, and we can push that for you.
Yeah. Speaking of, where can
we find you?
Yeah, where can we
not
find
me,
you?
but y'all.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
guests.
So my Instagram page is Ashigarami92.
All right, hold up. Go ahead and pull it up.
Yeah, pull the sucker up.
And Ashigarami is what?
Instagram.
Okay, so it's ASHI.
And that's in reference to what, sir?
So ashigarami is the Japanese term for leg entanglement. Ashi is leg, garami is entanglement.
I know, it's so awesome. Oh god.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, right here.
Ashigarami 92.
Go to Instagram.
You gotta go to the gram.
I don't know these things.
So go Instagram.com.
Build a fire.
Build a fire.
The guy why is the guy who doesn't like social media the one who looks for social media?
These are Jamie.
Because it's fun. It's fun for me.
Okay, and then
Because I don't see this stuff on a daily basis. Okay.
it's like Christmas for you.
Garami.
Up right there.
Yeah, right there. Back it up.
Right
Yeah,
there.
there we go.
Please, patience,
Wow,
y'all.
good amount of followers. It's like what we have for our podcast.
I'm a one clicker
times
guy.
2,000.
I'm not a.
All right, so hold on. So what is it? Okay, go
Oh,
back
this
up.
one I
Go
saw
back
the
up.
other day. Time out. This one was impressive.
Oh,
He
yeah.
talks
Here, let me
about
put it on.
flying.
Let me put it on.
Yeah.
Fly what? Yeah,
Yeah,
he's flying
it's just
around
like-
your
yeah.
legs.
Hey, you're standing up. Hey, let me take your legs in. Good night
Sweet.
now.
Good night.
Yeah.
All right.
That was cool. You know what my
All right.
favorite was? Is the hitchhiker. I saw that. I use that so much. Okay,
He
Ashi
verified.
Garami.
Yep.
AS. Well, everybody look at the screen. It's
Yeah,
right there.
Yep. He's verified.
I love that you have black belt on there too.
You know why I looked? So I just looked at your name. So I looked at your last name and Davis and David. Sorry. I Marines, they don't speak in sentences. They speak
Speak in color.
in words. In
Red,
grunts.
Blue, green, brown.
Deal with this every week. Help.
I blame it on ESL, but obviously it's not.
Marine.
ESL plus Marine, not good.
May I ask what the USVNKH is at the bottom of your
I do not know. That's the first time I've seen
Which
that.
one? Which one?
Underneath the black belt.
It says USVNKH.
Hey, I want to do a purple belt like that.
I don't.
I'm gonna
know.
figure it out.
That is a good question.
That's
I don't
very
think
cool.
I can.
Hey, you can go purple, black, purple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Purple nurple.
Purple nurple. I almost said purple nurple. Purple. Say it faster. Test.
All
Purple,
right.
purple.
All right. This has been amazing.
Yes, it
amazing episode 34
Four.
of El Pinche Podcast. And today we had Davis. At Ashigarami92. That's his Instagram handle for those of you that don't know. I got to explain to
I
the
don't
Cristopher.
know what a handle is.
Oh, also I have a YouTube channel that I'm working in development as well.
Oh.
So
Awesome.
It's also in the link on my Instagram page.
All right, we'll put it.
Right here, TikTok. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
you.
we'll put it in the description.
Okay.
Man, I don't even know what to say.
Thank you.
Seriously, Davis, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you for being here.
For having me.
You've educated us. You've educated our audience. This is really cool. All right, and on that note, I think that's what we got. That's all we got, right?
Yeah, that's
On
what we
the-
got. We got through
So start stretching.
And then we yell.
And on 3, 2, 1.
Pinche
Podcast.
Não passa nada, ainda raspo de homoplata. Nascida no subúrbio, virou